So this is going to be a long video. I am going to attempt to tell the origin story of our warehousing and distribution and the greatness that I think we're on the path toward. I'm going to attempt to abbreviate that here for you because there's a lot packed into this video. But I want it to be, and I found such great success by sharing with you the real, being purely open and as authentic as humanly possible, so that way I feel like I always want to know the companies. I want to know them, the companies that I like to frequent or purchase things from or be a part of. And so when I started this journey with Obsessed Garage, I wanted to be as transparent as possible. Short of me sharing you my bank statement, I think I've showed pretty much everything else. And this is no different. I wanted to dig into the learning process that we're in figuring out how to distribute and ship products all over the world. I think we're going to be in 6 or 7 countries. I think we're going to have multiple distribution facilities in the United States. I think that the only reason that wouldn't happen is if I didn't believe it, and I believe it with every part of my soul. And if you go back to the beginning, I've said this a bunch, I was a financial advisor for 15 years before I now do this. You can't really afford or get a financial advisor when you're young, you're starting out, or when you don't have any money. You have to wait until you have a bunch of money, and now you don't need the person anymore. And I found that experience is very similar in warehousing. You need help, you need software, you need somebody to plan out the warehouse, but you don't have any funds to do that. You don't have the ability to hire those type of people. I'm hiring people generally that don't know how to do it. I don't have the funds, we don't have the revenue, we don't even know if the company is going to exist in the beginning, to hire a bunch of experts to come in and consult, as well as experts to come in and run it. And so you're taking young people that have potential, and then we're just figuring it out. And so now I would say we've just graduated to the junior high, right? We've made it to junior high school. I still don't have the big facility to put all the stuff in. We're making very good use of the space that we have. But we started with a really basic software. It was called ShipStation. That software, you see advertisements everywhere. My dad and mom were shipping out of their house, and the reason we needed that software is it would print labels, and it was like $20 a month or something like that. And we weren't really keeping inventory outside of my dad walking around with a yellow pad in my old bedroom, and so those humble days, it was easy. You just spot, okay, we're almost out of Nexet Color Tech, which was stinking up their house, or we're almost out of yellow towels, so we probably need to place an order. And he's scribbling it down on yellow pads, and we eventually moved into the 2,000 square feet that we have next door, and we're able to at least have some shelves now. And then eventually led into a need to get some inventory. We need some inventory, we have inventory, so now we need to manage it with some inventory management software. And so we were able to kind of use our Shopify platform to do that. And then from there, it was add another app and get this other app, and then that app can take over from the original shipping software and we can aggregate it. All the while, I'm trying to figure out how to build the shipping algorithm so we can figure out what size each boxes are and what boxes do we have. And then, my mom's learning all the boxes off the top of her head and then teaching the others we've hired to put things and choose the right size box and then package it a certain way. And all this process, all this evolution has been, I wouldn't say a struggle, but it's been a learning process, and you struggle through that learning process. And so today, what we're going to show you is where we're at. We've retained a company called Deposco, so we've graduated to some big boy software that we hope can grow with us as we end up in multiple countries with multiple distribution facilities, and we end up with more space, and we can start to do bulk picking lists and really improve efficiency. The software can replace, the need to just hire more humans and more humans and more humans. It can help eliminate steps and waste. And so we've had such a great experience with these folks that have spent a lot of time with us in helping input into the software what needs to be input in order to get the output to better serve you, to better serve people. And so what we're going to share with you today, Deposco has come down to visit. We're making some tweaks and some adjustments. We were running what we call the capacity sale to test the software. And they were very kind to come down and send one of their representatives who've been with the company a really long time to help us really understand, or help me understand, what are we doing here? Tommy has done a great job, and some of the warehouse staff has done a great job of making this evolutionary transition for us. It was really cool for me to see. So what you're going to see is me asking questions. I did everything in my power to stay out of it. I just signed the check and said, go. And then I stayed out of it. And so this is me. What you're going to see is me getting acclimated and now understanding where we're at and what we have. And so we're going to take you through this video. First, we're going to jump into the warehouse section and show you where the barcodes are and all of that. And then we'll dive deeper a little bit into how we're set up. At the risk of me giving away all our secrets, I think that's a worthwhile risk for the product of you really understanding where we're at and understanding the passion that's driving this whole thing. So let's go over to the warehouse, start digging into what we now have. I want to sort of show people, what does this mean? Now, we can't get into the Deposco software because there's a lot of proprietary stuff there, but Shopify is our provider. Shopify is where our website is hosted. It's hosted via them, and the back end of the website is also controlled by them. So
exactly. So everything you see here on the website is controlled by this back-end software, which is Shopify.
Right. So all our products are created there,
Yes.
like all of the banner images and all of the
Exactly.
there is some custom code, but in general there's a theme.
Yes.
So the way Shopify works is we subscribe to Shopify. In the beginning it was like $39, and then it was like $139, and now we're on Shopify Plus, which means they basically open up the entire software suite to us, and also means that we can write custom code and stuff like that on the site.
Exactly.
And so the URL is hosted on Shopify's platform.
Yes.
So we don't have a separate service provider like DigitalOcean or something like that. It's all done through Shopify. They make sure the thing is always working, which is pretty magical.
Yep. So yeah, as you mentioned, all of the products, so our product catalog, you could say, is right here. So here's all the list of the stuff we have, and we have hundreds and thousands almost of SKUs, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is how we manage it. So as an example, if I clicked on the O-ring, here's where we write the product description.
Yep.
And this is where we upload the photos and stuff
videos.
like that. There's the price, and the shipping and everything like that.
Yeah, so we have price, we have a retail price, we enter our costs. So in this case, we have great margins. We can use that to manage inventory, right? We can generate a report on how much inventory, how much value inventory we have. I have a line of credit that's set up that's based on how much our inventory value is. We pledged inventory as the collateral, and so that's how my line of credit is set up. And then that here is the SKU. Is that what is it? Is that where the barcode is connected?
Yes, similar. So there's a SKU field and a barcode field. And so really what is connecting Shopify to Deposco is an item ID, which is slightly different.
Okay.
And that ID is actually the number up here. So that's how Deposco and Shopify communicates through this ID.
So there's an API.
Yep.
So Shopify generates basically a just a big file, right, that then Deposco pulls from.
Yes, exactly.
So it pulls the orders, it pulls the products, it pulls all of that.
Exactly.
But the inventory on hand, our inventory quantities are coming from Deposco.
Correct. Yeah. So we in Shopify never touch this. This is all information from Deposco.
Got it. So we have on hand, how many do we have, how many are available, and how many are sold.
Yep,
So
exactly.
how many are in queue of whether it's orders that are waiting to be shipped out on something that has has a bunch of like a bunch of other items that maybe are out of stock, or if maybe somebody just bought those now.
Correct. Like here, it doesn't look all that great, but like if I were to view this product, that's where the theme comes in. So the theme is what makes the back end look pretty and viewable to you, the customer.
And so the magic of this is that you didn't have to write any code to make this look the way it looks. So we buy the theme. The theme has most of the code. We then write some things to
we tweak
add
things
in.
here and there.
Yeah, so there is some code that's written that Bryce and Tommy will work on, or we'll get somebody to do it for us. But then it looks like this on the website.
Correct. So like we have the catalog. So Deposco gets its catalog per se from Shopify. So it syncs. So if we have an item in Shopify, it's therefore in Deposco.
Gotcha.
And then in Deposco is where we count it.
And so the orders, so we don't have 2,900 open orders. A lot of it
Correct.
is, some of those are from like the very beginning. There's some
Yeah, there's
funky-
weird things where Shopify considers a canceled order as an unfulfilled order. And so that's what that counts as, is unfulfilled orders.
Yeah.
So like,
Yep.
as we mentioned earlier, we're like caught up. So yeah, a lot of those are canceled orders.
Shopify is our host. Shopify is also through Stripe is our payment provider.
Yes.
So people, so when you go back to the Obsessed Garage website, and then you add this to your cart, and then you check out. So Shopify is creating all of our back end. We're able to sort of do these pop-ups and stuff like that. So there are also a bunch of apps that, like that pop-up is an application, which is basically code that you can install on the back end in the back end software. So it allows us to not have to like write this all from scratch or build this all from scratch, or even really have anybody maintain it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Yep. And so then the Deposco software is going to populate inventory into Shopify so that we can sell stuff.
Yes.
And it's also going to fulfill.
Yep.
Right, and we're going to show people the process of how we pick, pack, and fulfill an item. And so when that final UPS label is generated, Deposco every few minutes is going to push that back to Shopify and say, order's done.
That actually happens immediately. So as soon as the order is shipped out in Deposco, that is an instantaneous send to Shopify that it's shipped out.
So it fulfills it, then Shopify then emails you, the customer. That's when you get your confirmation email.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, and so as you'll see, like what we're wanting to work on going forward is getting that visibility to the customer. So like right now, there's some issues where like they can't see the exact status of every single line in their order, and that's largely due to the kits that we have. It's very complex to manage all these things, and so our next biggest problem to tackle is giving that visibility to the customer.
Yeah. Because the packages that we put together that I started in the beginning has created infinite complexity.
Yep.
We wouldn't need half of this stuff if we didn't have that.
No. But that's the whole magic, right? Like the ability to go to the website and just search for like custom install, which has 50 plus items in it, and the customer clicks one button and then they get everything in that. That's magical. And so that's the value add for the customer. And so that's what we're having to deal with in the back end, is managing all of that to get it to you as quickly as possible.
And then having to deal with the inventory and how it counts it and how it pulls it, and that's the lion's share of the reason we've needed more sophisticated software was to be able to hopefully keep our inventory managed and working really well.
Yep.
So let's go into the warehouse and let's dig into how this actually works. I did want to show you digitally how this works, but we'll go show you physically, like the hardware and the process that we're now using. So how have we set up the warehouse? Like how does barcode work? So in the past, when we started this, it was just know where it is on the shelf, and it was a line item with a little picture, right? Didn't we have a little picture on it at some point that printed out? And so now we've set up the warehouse. So how have we done that? What did we do here? So what do these things mean? Like, I'm just an idiot here. I don't understand how any of this works. Explain to me what these barcodes mean. And like, this is our A stock inventory. We sell this stuff most. So this is closest to the packing area. How does this work?
So in general, you want the items that you're picking most frequently to be as close to home base as you say. So like the picker's home base is over that shelf here.
Yep.
And so all the detailing stuff ships most frequently, so you want it as close as possible.
Okay.
So every item has a barcode. So like eraser as an example, there's a barcode.
Okay.
And you can use that to keep track of this item in the warehouse. So before it was just this item is here or it's not here.
Okay.
But with Deposco, there's locations and just location-based inventory management.
Okay.
Josh could probably speak a little bit better than I could to this, but basically, every spot or shelf in the warehouse has its own code. And so the code for this shelf right here is this. And so Deposco can tell that these items are on this shelf, and that just helps us manage inventory a lot better.
Okay, so then where does this go, like in the software? Is it in Shopify and in Deposco?
No.
Just in Deposco?
Correct. So the only thing that Shopify has is how many we have available to sell. But in terms of managing all the inventory, that's all done on Deposco's end.
But,
So
and
Deposco
that's
handles it.
pulling over, right? So Deposco's sending the data via API of what we have on the shelf to the Shopify software, so the Shopify knows, can I sell it, or in our case, can I reserve a spot?
Sure.
Some items we can earmark not reserve your spot because we know it isn't coming for months, or it's out of stock in perpetuity, and we don't want people complaining, and so we don't do that for everything. So then, have we set up? Are we sophisticated enough to where when an order is generated in the guys are walking around with, are they iPhones? What are they walking around
No,
with?
it's a custom mobile device. Yeah, it's like a Zebra. It's
Okay, we'll show them that in a
it's
second.
Android.
We'll show you all the hardware stuff when we get into picking an order. But the software, does it know to start them in the back and work their way front?
Yes. Correct.
So we're not having to I'm going to pick this, and I'm walking all the way to the other corner to get a speaker, and then all the way back over here to get a microfiber towel. Yes. Does the software do that for us, or did you guys have to build that?
It has the capability, but we need to input it. So it needs the input to make use of that.
Yeah. The way you think about it is with every product that has a home or a location here, you could have products that have multiple locations. And if an order combines multiple products, like your kits and things that you sell, you want to think about it like a pick sequence. Okay. So if you were to start and an order made up every part of your warehouse, how would you sequence that order? Where would you start first? Where would you finish? So Deposco has a way to sequence the pick sequence in a way that starts you where you're supposed to be so that you end up closest to the packing station, so that you efficiently map out a path for where you want your pickers to walk. Because one of the biggest wastes of labor is walking around in that back and forth manner you just mentioned. So we do it by pick sequence, but Tommy and the team here in the warehouse, they had to help establish what that pick sequence was based on the locations. It's like a neighborhood, right? There's a house on a street, streets in a neighborhood, and it's a hierarchical setup that you do, and then a pick sequence that allows you to know how do you navigate the neighborhood to get you to the point of picking the order and getting it to the right place.
So then, do we humans optimize that, or does the software optimize that over time? How do we?
So the way we have it right now is we set the parameters for it.
Okay.
So it was a kind of a gut instinct thing, talking with Ted and the pickers and stuff, saying hey, we think this is the best path through the warehouse, and then we set that.
Okay.
And that's where we're at right now. I don't know if in the future if it can be optimized automatically or not, but as we are right now, it's manual.
Are we optimized to the point to where if someone bought this and that, it would know to go boom, boom, boom?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, how did we physically do that?
There's just a field in Deposco.
Okay.
So each item has a stock unit. So there's the item which is kind of what's tied to Shopify.
Okay.
And then each item has stock units. So that tells you where that inventory is. And so those let's see, where am I going with this? The stock units themselves are on a location, and then that location has a pick sequence. And so you just
Okay.
input that field into Deposco.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
just an input field. So we did it via CSV, and that helps with efficiency a lot. So you can manage lots of data all at once easily.
Yeah, what you see beyond this is, just to maybe extend on that, like you're mentioning, is we set a baseline, right, when you launch the software, but over time you do a bit of a slotting analysis where you look to see where your demand is, how many of the certain products are selling, how often are you going to those shelves and to those locations to pick the product. Then you think about reestablishing your A movers, your B movers, and your C movers, or like products that get picked together into different places. But you tend to do that periodically over a season, call it a quarter or a month or a year, that you do an analysis on that. And oftentimes you may relocate where the home of a product is over time to a closer location where another like product might get picked. That way you minimize how many moves you have of your team.
So do we get to the points in the future where we have detailing products liked together? Do we get to the point to where it's just we're agnostic of product, we're agnostic of what it is and the type and understanding it, and it's just pure barcode, like you've seen the Amazon warehouses where you'd have a dish rag next to oil, next to kitty litter,
Yeah.
just
I think for us, it'll probably be a hybrid of that. I still think for the way we do packages and kits and all that, it makes sense to have detailing kind of grouped next to detailing, pressure washing next to pressure washing. But yeah, I mean, once we have more space and stuff, we can do more optimizations in that regard.
So now tell me about bulk picking. That's the evolution, that's the hope, right? Is that we get to the point to where let's say we had 100 orders and 20 of those orders had one of these sponges. How does it know, or how do we utilize that, the bulk picking process? How are we doing that now, and where do you think we're headed on that?
Sure. So right now we are doing that a little bit. We're getting a little bit limited on space where we're only picking, I think it's 6 orders per wave. So the way that Deposco releases orders for the pickers to do their thing is called a wave. So
Okay.
each wave has 6 orders. And so you'll see over there's carts. And
Okay.
on those carts we have 6 bins. We'll take these bins here, and so every bin has its own location. So Deposco is able to keep track of an item throughout the entire process through
Okay.
receiving, item put away, just on the shelf sitting, and also as it goes from on the shelf to out the door.
Okay.
It can track it, where before it was either here or not. So the visibility there's great. But yeah, so we'll have 6 of these bins here, and then orders will get released 6 at a time. And so with the pick sequence that we've determined, right, it will see all those items on all those orders and then tell them to go over there and go over here, over there.
So
And
if in those 6 orders, 5 of them all had a yellow towel,
correct.
then you would and it would say, all right, in those 5 orders, the average, there's like 4 on this and 3 on. It'll add it all up to create a summation, right? And so somebody will grab 22 towels off the rack, put it. But then does it go in one bin?
No, it knows what bin. So each
Okay.
order is basically assigned to a bin.
That's right.
And so as you go through the warehouse, it'll say, put this
Okay.
item in this bin, put this item in this bin, and it knows that it's associated with one order.
Got it. So that way, because we're doing smaller order waves, what I thought is, well, where are we going to put, if we bulk pick, where are we going to put it?
Correct.
Right? And so eventually you'd bulk pick the warehouse and then bring the product into a secondary picking line, right? Isn't that kind of the evolution where
you
we would
tend to go to a place where if your volume gets to that level, you do more of the bulk picking, and then you do sort of sorting at the end. What you're
Okay,
doing is
yeah.
picking and sorting right now by order, which is what we call batch picking.
That
at
makes a lot more
Deposco.
sense to me then. I was like,
Picking and sorting. What happens a lot of times if you bulk pick is you need a bigger area to then sort it out, right?
Yeah, right.
And but we do have companies that will pick a lot of bulk product and they'll send it down automated, and a sorter will sort it out into different bins. Or you have something that's called a put wall, which is also a concept that we work with, that when they bulk pick all the items for 50 orders or 100 orders or 1,000 orders, you get to an area like this, and then there's lights that tell you, based on the product that you scan, where to put the product, and all kinds of good stuff like that. So what you're doing right now is building a discipline of picking and sorting per order, but it allows you to get a concept of bulk picking in a smaller aggregated set. So this might be able to, over time, fit 12 orders or 50 orders or 100 orders, and you get more fewer turns of the inventory faster through the warehouse, to where you're picking 100 orders in one shot rather than 6. And that's the progression we want to continue to do as you can map out the warehouse in a bigger footprint.
So he's going to walk around this with all these bins set up, right? And then we go out, okay, 3 of those orders have a 50-foot hose, boom, boom, boom. It tells you which one to put in. So their scanner is showing them that. Their scanner / screen is showing them
And their
that.
scanner will show them things like what location to go to, what product to pick. It'll give them a space to where it'll have them scan and validate a barcode, like a location. So it not only, the system can be set up to validate as little or as much as you want it to validate. Depends on accuracy or speed and kind of where you want to find that fine line. So what we have the team do is we go have them scan the location where the product is, and we have them confirm that they picked the right product by scanning the product itself. And then they have the ability to either grocery scan it one by one by one by one, or entering the quantity. And that's a choice you have as a configuration in Deposco.
So let's go show them. Let's start in the C and walk our way around the warehouse and just talk about, have you talk about what everything is and where it's at. That's, I think the people want to see that. And then we'll get into like actually pick an order and show them. We'll show them the hardware, and then we'll show them function.
Great.
As we're walking farther and farther away from picker's home base, we're getting towards the products that sell less frequently than the stuff that goes out every single day. So Milwaukee and audio, we don't sell hundreds
They're
of these.
higher ticket, much more expensive items. We still sell a fair amount, but sell a lot less.
Correct.
Less often,
Compared to the detailing stuff, like drying aid, we sell hundreds of those a day.
Right.
This is not.
And so you have chosen to batch, like put all the M12 stuff together.
Correct.
Put all the M18 stuff together.
Yes. Yeah.
And so maybe someday, eventually, we'll kind of see how it goes. We also have people visiting all the time.
Correct.
We'll get a dozen or so people come and visit us, and so there is some component of like a normal in-person shopping experience,
bit,
right?
Yeah.
And
helps
so,
with the pickers too.
so what about shirts? Don't we sell a fair bit amount of shirts? This just fits here.
We do.
So we made a choice there.
Yeah. Again, we're limited on space a little bit, so this was the best space for it.
Got it.
And so yeah, we do sell shirts quite frequently, but for how these bins are set up and how we organize the shirts, it makes most sense on this wall here.
So how many humans do we have in here? Do you remember? So we have 4 pickers.
Yeah, 4 pickers, 4 packers, I believe.
Okay. And then the pickers do, like, who does all the receiving? Is it the pickers?
Receiving, no, Zach does. So Zach's our receiver for the most part, and then
Gotcha.
Zach and Dante will replenish too. So that's another process as well.
So the product comes in here, right? So we bring the product in this door, and then they use the barcodes?
Yep. So that is even a step ahead, where Deposco were able to create purchase orders.
Okay.
So the birthplace of a product kind of starts with the purchase order, I would say.
And so Drew's in here placing purchase orders.
Yeah, so he's the guy that purchases.
Right, he's in and out of the warehouse making a purchase order. So he's also, man, this is complicated. So we have software. So the software is then generating a report, which he's looking at all day long. All right, what are we missing? What are we almost out of?
Correct.
There's also a forecasting component to it as well. Hopefully that over time we can start to forecast, and then we know which product is hard to get, which products are easy to get, like which ones have vendors that stock product here in the U.S., which ones are we ordering from overseas, and transit times. And so he's working on building out or inputting into the software so we get a more reliable output report, right? So he places the order shows up, comes in that door, and then Zach scans the items?
It can if the supplier provides a barcode, but most of the time there'll just be a reference number with a PO.
Okay.
And then in their handheld, there's an option. It's like, I'm selecting this PO. And then once you select that on the handheld, all the items that we ordered pop up. And then from there, they'll validate that everything we ordered is actually physically here.
Okay.
And then from there, there's the item put away process, right? So from there, once it's an item put away, you're telling Deposco, where physically you're putting it, which location, which shelf are you putting that item on.
Okay.
And we will guide the put away folks to the right place if it does have a home, or it gives you the option to establish a new location for that product if it's the first time you've received it in.
For them, that's been a big help, because before, like, we just, hey, is there an open spot there? Shove it there. And like,
Yeah.
there's no organization to it. And so now we know exactly where it's going and why. And it prompts you to put it exactly
Okay,
where
so Zach will know. All right, a T-shirt comes in.
Yep.
This T-shirt, these, the OG silver or whatever, a hex shirt came in, and then he knows it goes here because the little thingy, the scanner is telling him to put it here.
Exactly.
Okay, so the product PO then gets received. The product goes on the shelves. Let's keep walking around here and show people where stuff is. We have overflow shirts. We have posters. We have prior hose bib stuff and PCL. And then over here is where we start to get into pressure washing. So pressure washing, isn't pressure washing A stock for us?
Kind of, but we just didn't have enough space on that side. So it's the closest towards Packer's home base that's on this side.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like the hoses and such, and then buckets are here. Pressure washing aisle's actually that one next over.
So now how are we doing this? This is another layer of sophistication we've added, and I'm doing this for the future. So I started a business called Curated Manufacturing. Curated Manufacturing is 3 miles down the road. We have inventory there. Is that inventory on Deposco yet?
It's a separate system.
Okay, so my dad is managing that inventory on his own. He's doing a kind of older style like what we did with yellow pads and then some basic software. And so we place a PO to my other company.
Yes, exactly. We just treat him like another supplier, basically.
Right.
So Drew will send, your dad a PO, and then your dad will fulfill it for you.
Because in the long run, my wholesale business, the Curated Manufacturing business, we're building hoses, we're assembling these hoses. So we buy this bulk, we put ferrules, and actually I think we got our stainless samples to put on. Cool. So we may be transitioning to stainless. He's putting a barcode on, so we're future-proofing for that. And so Drew places a PO, and then we get a delivery from my own warehouse in my own van that comes down the street. But we're doing that so that way then we can structure it and build it so that we can then sell to other suppliers as well.
Exactly.
Right? And then we're also creating in the books, in the back end, we've been doing some software adjustments in QuickBooks and stuff where they have a margin, and so they have to maintain profitability. And so you see this often with software with multiple warehouses and multiple locations, and then wholesale and retail and all that kind of stuff. So that's another layer of sophistication that doesn't need to happen like where we're at today, but if we want to go to where I think we're going, and then we're adding that slight layer of complexity, and then taking that complexity and attempting with software to make it simple, right? And so then in here is where we have buckets and press-all bottles and Prevost, and then we get into we have our scents here, and then we get into some of the pressure washing stuff. This is the heavy pressure washing aisle, polishing, and so we still have quite a bit of siloed like for like next to each other, right?
Yeah, and the reason for that again is the solutions packages and kits that we have. We group, like we have a car washing package, right?
Yeah.
And that sells quite often, and so it makes sense to have all of those items kind of close together for picking. So that when someone orders that solution, it's more of like a boom, boom, boom versus like walking all over the place.
Because in the beginning, like Ted and my dad, they had to know like what was the Krenzla package.
Everything was memorized.
Yeah.
Everything. And so our accuracy.
And they were
has
using the
skyrocketed.
photos, right? They were using photos and then memorizing, and then for us to train someone would take a year.
Yeah.
And even then, if you're tired, you're not on it, you can make a lot of mistakes, and you get a 1/4-inch coupler instead of a 3/8-inch coupler, like little stupid things like that can happen that we've kind of eradicated to a large extent,
Pretty
right?
much. I mean, it's impossible to be 100% accurate, but we're up there. We're doing really well.
Got it.
And yeah, like you said, the speed at which we can train people is much quicker.
Yeah.
We hired Dante and Zach. They're some of our newer hires, and they're probably up to like full speed, I would say, within a couple months.
Yeah. So rest of the stuff here on the I guess this is the B side is our pressure washing areas, right? So we have all our pressure washing stuff, all our quick disconnects. So these obviously don't have a barcode on them, but the bin does.
Correct.
So there still requires a little bit of expertise in that people knowing like what's a twist and seal plug, right? So Ted, who runs runs the warehouse here, he'll work with Zach and teach Zach, and so that Zach knows what this item is.
There is a detail screen that they can hit though that does show a picture from
Oh,
Shopify.
okay.
So
that's right.
everything on our store has a picture, obviously, and so Deposco is able to pull that in. And so if they are questioning, hey, what is this item? One, it already tells them to go to that location,
Okay.
and then two, they can click details and it shows a picture.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
And
That's
if you
cool.
notice, like what we were talking about, the location positioning, as Tommy was saying, like they get to the shelf and there's only 4 chances, right, to pick the product. And if they happen to pick the wrong product, Deposco will throw an error message to them that they picked the wrong product and scan that barcode, and it'll tell them which one they need to go to and re-emphasize that. And to his point, pull the picture up if they need that extra level of validation.
So
of
to
where
make an
they go.
error, they'd have to scan this and reach over here like real stupidly, right?
Yes.
So it minimizes our chance
That's
of
right.
that thing kind of happening.
Exactly.
And we even have something on the handheld scanner that can echo back an audible voice to them of what error they made as well. So if they're just stuck scanning and pulling and really moving fast, the audible message will echo back to them, hey, you scanned the wrong item, go back and scan the appropriate item. Here's the item that you need to make sure you focus in on. So it gives audible cues as well.
So let's show them the hardware. So can you show me what we have here in the like what do they use?
Yeah, so this is the device that the pickers will use. So this is the device used to receive inventory in the receiving process. It's what they use to pick orders. They can use this to do replenishments. It's basically the home base for the picker.
Okay.
They're using this pretty much the entire time they're in the
Okay, so show me what it looks like.
so this, ooh, is it dead? Wake up, there it is.
So what is this thing?
And so this is a Zebra device.
Oh, Zebra,
So we
okay.
purchased it from Zebra. Yep.
Yep.
And so there's the scanner here, so we use that for the validation and whatever. And there's a camera too.
And these suckers are like $2,500 a piece or something?
Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah, $2,500 is what we paid for them. So
And how many of these do we have?
every picker has one, and then we have a couple on.
So we have
on
like 6 of
standby.
them?
Yeah, 6 or 7. Yep.
So you can see there's a capital investment here. This has nothing to do with Deposco, right? We just pick the hardware that we want,
Yes.
that as long as it can run the software.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
The
We're
way
hardware
we did it is
agnostic.
they had like a recommended, suite of things that they see works the best. And
Okay.
So we then went shopping based on their list, and this is the one we thought was best. So
Got it. Okay.
what's cool about this one is like you can scan barcodes from really far away.
Okay.
Not all scanners can do that.
Okay.
So like if I for whatever reason wanted to scan, that up there, you can kind of see the laser up there. I don't
Oh,
know if it'll
yeah,
pick up on
yeah,
camera, but
yeah.
like I can hit that and it'll grab it.
Yeah, got it.
And so that's a nice feature for us to have.
The software is also helping us with cycle counts, with the actual input of inventory, right? So the software helps us do that, and then we have the hardware devices to do that more efficiently. Where we were walking around with a laptop, hey Ted, I got 22 of those, instead of like it'll tell us, and then we can create schedules of cycle counts, and that can make us more efficient, make us more accurate, make it more accurate for placing purchase orders, make sure we run out of stuff less, which could mean a lot of efficiency for us, and that if we run out of stuff less, people will buy more, that kind of thing. So we have those devices, but then the packers have a device.
A different set of devices too, yeah. So we decided to go with the Chromebook because it's easiest. Because Deposco can run on just like any web, any website. Basically, it's just a URL you can go to. It's
Yep.
cloud-based, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, these are the devices. So these have their own screens and whatever, and hooked up to that. The Packers have their own scanner that's hardwired.
Okay.
And so like this will communicate and barcode scan and communicate with Deposco and everything like that.
Got it.
So you
So-
can kind of see on the pen screen over here. So
Yeah.
he's in the middle of an order, picking an order, and so there's different menus and stuff to.
So the picker, we'll show everybody the process here in a minute, but so the picker picked all this stuff.
Correct.
They put it on our conveyor area.
Yes.
Our packer will turn around and grab it.
Yep.
And then they're scanning each item again.
Yep.
Is that a confirmation thing, or
Yep.
so to confirm that we have it working?
What it's doing is it's one confirming that they have the correct item in their hand as what the
Yeah.
system thinks it is, as well as you're telling where or what box that item is going in. So for tracking, like once the order is on the way to the customer, if for whatever reason one package gets lost, we now have the visibility of, oh, these were the items that were lost because these items were in that package. Or before, we had no visibility of what item was in each box.
Got it.
So now that we have that, that helps support a ton.
So really the only two hardware devices we have, because it's a cloud-based software, is our scanner and then our Packers scanning little
so
book.
like in terms of actual pieces, so there's the scanner for the pickers.
Yep.
There's the tablet computer, whatever you want to do, just to interface with the cloud-based software.
Okay.
You have the physical scanner here,
Yep.
and then a label printer.
Okay, got
And
it.
then there is one more computer that acts as like the print server.
Okay.
It's just another laptop, but that's it.
So if we're looking at what we did before we had another step where Ken would pack the box,
Yes.
he'd put it on the conveyor, it would come down here, and then somebody else, which could be another error, one more steps, more work to do, another employee. So we were able to eliminate an entire employee's or an entire job,
Yes.
which was they would take the packed box, they would then, Trevor would weigh it, scan it.
Yeah.
This was our old setup where this is where we would print our label, whereas now we're skipping a step, and then when they pack the box, they're able to scan it.
That's right.
So Deposco has the ability where it can recommend box sizes based on what items people order. But because we have such custom items and like we have a lot of hollow things that get packed into stuff like that, we decided to tell the system what box we're using. So rather than the system recommending a box and us using that box, we're saying, scratch that, we're going to tell the system what box.
So do our boxes have a barcode on it we scan or no?
No, it's well, kind of. So the way we decided to do it was like a grocery scan. So you know how you go to the grocery store sometimes, they'll
Okay.
have like apples and like whatever, and they'll have a barcode associated with that. So each of our boxes has a barcode associated with it. So when the time comes for them to say, hey, this is the box I'm using
Yeah.
for generating the label, they'll just scan it, and that's how it knows.
What about weight?
Weight is auto-populated. So that's one thing that can be automatically input from Deposco. So item weight is pulled from Shopify. So
Okay.
when Nick and I create a product, we make sure that the item weight is in there. So Nick and I will weigh the product.
Okay.
Deposco pulls that information in, and then because we're telling what items are going in what box, Deposco knows the weight.
Okay, and then
so
you
that
have then you
automatically-
added like a factor for packing material and a factor for the box.
Yes, so there's settings within the boxes, I believe, where
Correct.
you can tell it how heavy the box itself is.
So when they
right.
scan this, the box has a 1 pound or whatever,
That's right.
8 ounces, and then you've added a fudge factor to each
Yes.
product, so that way you have bubble wrap or masking tape,
Exactly.
and so we're within some factor of accuracy. And how much did we test that? Like we do some testing of what is our software telling us a box weighs versus what it actually weighs.
Yes, yeah, we do have some validations. Obviously, there's some hiccups, so I think we just implemented this, and so
Yeah.
we're still catching the discrepancies.
Yeah.
But once the data is actually right, then it's right. Like it won't be off unless we input the value as being wrong.
Okay.
So-
Okay, so let's go. I say we pick an order, and let's show people the process of what it's like, to pick a single order and kind of take it through the system. Let's do that.
You like me to do that or Ted?
Well, somebody
figure.
somebody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I can wing it, but
Yeah.
let's just do it. We'll see. We'll showcase how somewhat easy it is to pull an order by me pulling an order.
Okay, so the thing I don't understand is so the orders came in. We showed how the order comes in. Where is it?
The order?
Yeah.
It's in a queue basically. So
So
electronically, there's a list of orders.
So our customer Matt Mormon bought a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And then it's sitting in Deposco. So it comes through Shopify.
Correct.
Shopify then sends it, or actually Deposco pulls it from Shopify, right?
Yep.
So every few minutes or so,
Yep.
Deposco's updating via an API. It's pulling in the order,
That's right.
right? And so then the order is sitting in a Deposco queue. Is it by time and date?
Yes. So super important for us is the first people that order something should be the first ones to receive it.
Okay.
And so we have our orders set up where it's sorted by order place date. So people
So
have the
first-
oldest order get first dibs for the
Right, first in, first out.
Yes.
What about inside the hex?
Inside the hex, we have a function where if there is because we waive 6 orders at a time.
Okay.
And in those waves, if there is a Hex Plus order, that'll be the first one in that list. It's kind of confusing. There's lots of logic to it, but
Gotcha.
it's not like if someone ordered 2 weeks ago, that's not Hex Plus versus someone who's Hex Plus that ordered today.
Yeah.
That Hex Plus order is not going to go first because it'd be unfair. But in terms of the picking process, the
Yeah.
Hex Plus orders do go first.
We're always going to pick those first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
think about those as like an expedited nature.
Yes.
So when the orders come in, basically we categorize it by the rules or the logic that's important to your business. In this particular case, we have them organized by first in, first out, by hex, by a few other priorities, and then it groups it together into waves.
Okay.
Basically that batch of 6 orders. And then once that wave gets put out there, those get released, which means it actually goes out there and finds the inventory where it is in the warehouse. And then it sorts it by that pick list we talked about earlier on the queue inside of Deposco for the 6 orders. So now we can see once that happens, how it's queued up. So that way it guides Tommy through the whole process of getting it done.
Okay, so you have 6 orders. You're going to pull right now, right?
Yep. So
We can't show you the software because it's proprietary to us and them, and we're going to talk you through it though.
So I'm going to do outbound process because I'm getting stuff out of the warehouse, right? And so
Okay.
I'm going to go to picking. So here I'll pick the wave, right? Oh, there's no waves. Ted says there's waves. I need Ted. If you could kind of make it easy since I'm picking it on video.
So, and we're not, you can see, we're not putting on, like these guys are working, you know. My mom and Ted have this place a well-oiled machine, you know, where they, if there's no orders in, I mean, they're cleaning up, they're reorganizing. I've always wanted everything fronted on the shelves, turned out, you know, and they've, you know, pre-taped, like a big technological change for us was when we started taping bottles ahead of time, right? Right, that was a big step, you know. And so when you see companies, you see all this like every day is a little step, and then before you know it, you have this like super organism, right? That's functioning, and that's this still probably seems crude to some people who are working at Amazon warehouses or something like that, but in comparison and just the amount of work that's gone into making it this sophisticated is insane, you know. And so just think about all these companies all over the world that, you know, each one of them, most of them have to figure it out on their own.
That's right. Well, we love the book Atomic Habits at Deposco, which it talks about the compounding nature of change, right? Small changes over time, consistently every single day, get you to where you're at today, where you know what to put on, what kind of tape to put on the bottles, where to put the product. You get a sense of where your team needs to go and what you need to automate and all those
Got
things.
'em?
But it's
Yep, ready.
compounding.
Okay, so Ted released the orders. This is how we're doing it for
I have
now.
a group of orders that it's telling me to pick.
Okay,
And
so-
it knows at the time of waiving where the stuff is in the warehouse, and then it tells me, you know, and we'll walk through it. Hey, you need to go here. You need to go here. You need to go here. And what it's going to
Okay.
do is it's going to send me as far away as possible, and then work closer back towards home base.
Okay, so do you scan those bins first?
Nope. I just select the order, so there's a list of batches on my screen here, and I'll
Okay.
just click the top one, hit enter, and then boom, it says, hey, you need to go here and get this item. So
You
that's where we're
assign
gonna
as
go.
you go.
Yep.
All right, so
you'll
let's do
see-
it.
Yeah.
But it's not saying, like, you're not going to pick all of the first order and then all of the second order and all. You're going to pick
I'm picking
6 at a time. Yeah.
And so it tells me to go to, side 2, E203. So this is side 2. This is the E aisle.
Okay.
E2, so this bank.
Yeah.
And then level 3. And then it tells me the SKU that I want to grab. So
Okay.
I need and then it also says the name of the product. So I need the 650 blower.
Oh, someone's smart.
And so the first thing that I'll do is I'll scan the location. So that's the first validation it wants me. And then I'll grab the item.
Now there's two different 650s. There's a 650 with a battery and without a battery. How do you know which one's which?
So I can tell based on the SKU that I need the one with the battery. So yeah, can you grab me that? Thank you. And so as we mentioned earlier, if for whatever reason I didn't know what that was, I could
Yeah.
click details and there's the picture.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
And so I need to first validate where I am and then the item, so I didn't grab that item, so I'll snipe that. And then now it's telling me to verify the item. So if I scan the wrong item, it's gonna error out at me. And then it would say I need to scan a bin for it to error. But say I'm gonna put that item in this bin. it said invalid item. So
Okay.
if I picked the wrong thing on accident, it would let me know at that point.
Got it. Okay.
So this item's a little big to actually fit in. So what I'll do is I'll just put the bin on top.
By the way, Tommy doesn't do this, so I'm sure the guy.
Give me some
Yeah,
slack.
I'm sure the guys would be much quicker.
Zach and Dante are much better than me. All right, so now I'm gonna move on to the next item. So now it's gonna have us go to aisle F,
Okay.
and shelf 3. So
F3.
F1 right here. So F1,
Oh yeah.
shelf 3,
Okay.
and it's gonna have me get the Acura tire inflator. So that, and with the air truck, Acura 1, 31.
So that'd be helpful because you got 4 different ones, 3 different ones there, and if you didn't know what you're doing, if you would,
Yep.
if you didn't know the product, then it would tell you you did it wrong.
Yeah, one thing that you can do as well is each of the screens, as you're picking, packing, receiving, can be changed to where the fields can say different things. So if you wanted to say things like the cordless blower with battery, we can, instead of showing the SKU, we can show the name of the product
Oh, we have
to
that.
where it helps. And so that gives you a sense
Okay,
of
what's our next product?
Yeah, so here's an example though. So this and this were not on the same order.
Got it.
So I was able to see on the screen that, hey, these are not associated, so I needed to put this in a new bin.
Got
So
it.
I just told it, hey, all the items that are with this order need to go in this bin.
Right.
So now it's telling me to go to aisle D, so that's the next one over. And I need a press-all transparent 750. So
Oh, I didn't
scan
even.
the location,
Shit, I didn't know we had any of these.
scan the item, quantity 1, and again, since there's no bin, it tells me that it's a new order. So then
Okay.
I'll just scan a new bin, put that in.
Got it. Okay.
This is another order, so here it's a second order, different order, but it's having me grab that same item, so I'm not having to walk back and forth with
yeah.
much, which is nice.
So that right there is a huge time saver for us.
100%.
Just that little step right there. It doesn't seem like much, but that is a huge time saver. And where you get faster is using the software. Bang, bang, bang. Running around.
Yep. This is maybe the 10th order ever I've picked.
And so we've also implemented a bonus structure so that way those that are more efficient, those that are quicker, and those who have invested more time can get more money. And then the warehouse, the people that run the warehouse are getting a bonus based off of the bonus that the pickers are getting and packers are getting. So it's incentivized for my mom and Ted that are running the warehouse to make sure their people are killing it. It also incentivizes them to do less because they want their people to get their bonus.
Yep.
If they steal the win from their people, then and pack all the stuff for them, then they take away their potential.
Yeah. And I did have a question too. So like if I were to put an item that goes with this order, like all these go together, if I accidentally tried to put it here, it would error out and let me know as well. So
That's right.
There's a second catch there where you can't mix up orders, which is
Yeah.
nice.
And our pickers will inspect the item, make sure it looks good. Our packers will inspect the item, make sure it's good before it gets out
So
the
there's
door.
an example. I just put this in the wrong bin and it let me know why. That it errored out because I put it in the wrong bin. So it caught me. I need to scan that again.
under that one. Yep.
So also, like the guys are working on the Prevost piping. So there's some stuff that we'll do here. Most of the stuff like that, we cut our pipes to fit because they come in 19 foot 7 inches long, and we can't ship that to people. So we bring those in and then we cut them to length. We cut them for our piping packages. We cut them for down to 6 foot 6 lengths, and so some of that stuff we still do here. A lot of the assembly that we used to do here is all done up at Curated. So the plugs, the orifice sizes, the nozzles, all that stuff, the couplers that are put on hoses, we're all assembling that now in a more efficient manner where they have more room, they have tables, they have all the equipment where we're hopefully not getting in the way of the packers and pickers.
So one thing your dad's been doing too is been putting tags on stuff, which has been
Yep.
super helpful for us.
Because we have hoses with fittings,
Yes.
hoses with 3 different types of fittings.
Correct.
Which can be problematic.
Yep.
I'm going to be interested to see, does it make it come back over to side 2? Or theoretically, we won't come back to side 2 on these 6 orders.
Yeah. So each location has a number associated with it that tells us the order in which to pick stuff.
And you're seeing some of the deficiencies of having a small warehouse where, or why we can't pack more stuff in because we need room to move around. So this monitor here eventually is going to become where we have, we're going to set it up to where the pickers and packers can see very specifically. They have 3 bonus tiers. So they have a baseline that they need to hit, just that they should hit minimum, and then they have a sort of a aspirational, a almost impossible, and a completely impossible. And sometimes they pull off the impossible. And if you pay that off, if they get to those levels, then they get a pretty substantial bonus, each month. Which then, like I said, then the warehouse managers would get paid based on how many of the people hit that. Theoretically, this stuff here sells the most, and so you spend the most time here filling up your bins. And then our pickers would memorize all these areas.
Yep.
Walk around everywhere.
A lot of times you'll start to separate smaller shelves to make it more accurate, more efficient, to go straight to the product that you have, or you have these, rolling shelves that move the product straight to the front. Really easy to restock those kind of things.
You walk
as
along
you go.
the backside of it.
You got it.
Yeah, I've seen that, like at Adams Polishes. They also implemented they bulk pick, and then they implemented a picking or assembly line, if you will, which is really cool. And they use like the little milk crates. It's filled. Their products are a lot smaller in general, and so they all fit in the milk crates, and everything comes to the middle, and they have people just grabbing them. That's what we.
So pick module is really neat, where you go right down the lane and just pick. And we've got customers that do pick to light, where the lights light up where you pick the product, and you just go down, hit the light, grab the product. A lot of cool things you can do.
So I'm done.
Okay.
I'm finished. So each one of these bins is a separate order.
Okay.
But as I was going through, I was picking items into each bin, which I was picking 6 orders at a time, basically.
Okay, so let's go have one of the. You don't know how to pack for squat, so let's go have. Let's go have somebody pack. By the way, while this is happening, Ted is working with our Deposco representative, working on software. So we pay for there's a certain amount of hours that we've been allocated for their experts come, especially in the beginning, and got us set up for. They were here for many days on separate occasions, and then we paid them to come back to support because we're talked about some of the things like boxes, and we're now manually releasing orders, and so we're working on continuing to improve the software. And so then theoretically, Tommy the picker would then load these up and go grab some more.
Exactly.
And then hopefully, he's incentivized to go grab as many as possible to try to get to his bonus.
Yeah. So the picking or the picker's job is done now. So like once they drop it off here, it's all the packer's responsibility from here on
Gotcha.
out.
All right, so let's go pack an order. Okay, so now, how do you know what box to use?
So that's the decision we have made up until this moment, where Miss Janet wanted to tell the system what box that we're going to use. So rather than Deposco saying, hey Janet, you need to use this size box, it's more Janet telling, hey Deposco, we're using this box.
Okay, for now.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
And they'll do either or.
Yeah,
I don't trust them.
yeah.
Well, because it gets confused sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, that's the difficult part of the, we've got like labels in here, like how do you size that in the software? It says that it needs like 4 inches by 6 inches, but it really is just sliding on the side of the box.
And there's other things to think about too, like liquids need to ship in a double wall box.
Yeah.
But in the system, there's just a bunch of different box sizes, and so it's kind of difficult to know what items need to go in what type of box and stuff like that.
So that's
for our
more sophistication we're gonna have to work on over time.
Yep.
All right, so you scan.
In the bin.
Yeah. Okay.
And so at this point, it knows what the order is, and so because the bin is associated with an order, Deposco now knows when it creates the label where it needs to go, like what location.
Okay. So now where does the
Now I checked my order.
where does the confirmation come in by rescanning?
So on the Deposco system, it lists out, once she scans the bin, all the items, the quantities, and the description of the product. And then as she's packing into the boxes, it'll have her scan each of the products that go into each box.
Something that a lot of other companies don't do is like taking the care to make sure everything gets to you in good shape. Like no one's bubble wrapping the bottles, right? You order from Amazon, it's gonna come up half empty most of the time.
It's coming in a bag, just rattling around. But like I like my bottles. I like the product. I mean, I want it to show up in good order. And then we're using the Better Pack 555Es. automated lickers, you know, tape machines. So this is a double-walled box. So you just know which box to pick.
I designed this all, man.
So you couldn't get this in one box, you don't think?
Not good, but it's a waste. Big waste.
What do you mean?
Because I don't need double wall for that little stuff.
Oh. Wouldn't it be cheaper for me to put it in one box though?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you like how you're famous for your boxing?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I probably would, but we're not doing it that way. We don't normally do it that way. That's not what I'm saying. So, just you wanted me to show you how I do it. I'm showing you how I do it the right way. Then 3.
You know, it's been very important for me over the years to I let it go. Like I didn't come in here when Tommy was helping with the Deposco folks and the software. I don't tell them how to pack the box. I stay out of it, which has been really hard to do. And as time has gone on, I really haven't had a choice, you know, but to just stay out of it and let the people do what they do. By the way, you can see all of our orders going out. So where pickup comes, you know, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, depending on how many orders are going out. But there were probably, 200 orders, 250 orders, something like that, 300 orders that were sitting there that have gone out. And we're probably the only company on the planet that helps our shippers load up their truck.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody else just sits on it. They disappear, and then the shippers have to come and unload it themselves.
Yeah.
So they like us, and I want them to like us.
Yeah. So now that Miss Jan is done with this box, right? So all the items that are in this box are in that box.
Okay.
It's going to now tell the system what size that box is.
Yeah.
And then at this point, this is where the label will print.
Okay.
So this is something that we will likely be changing coming soon. Is rather than the labels printing at this time, we'll wait till a later time so that the data getting sent from Deposco to Shopify will be able to sync better.
So now our customers also know what's in the box, and that also helps them say, well, I didn't get one thing
Yep.
because we held it back because it wasn't here, you know, it wasn't quick with it. So that's also helped technical support with a little less questions because we didn't put a packing list in boxes before.
Correct.
So now the customer will the customer now know that box 1 has tracking and what's in the box?
So that's all done with the integration between Deposco and Shopify. So when you log in, from the customer view, you'll log into your account, you'll click the order, and you'll be able to see that this item, and this item has this tracking number.
Gosh, this cost me a lot of money to box this stuff. I'm using nice boxes and yeah.
It's definitely a significant cost, and so we, part of what happens on the front end for the customers is they're helping to pay for some of this, right? So that's our ask, right? Is that the customers help with shipping, and so that's what enables us to pack it better, to use the proper packing materials to make sure it gets
But the customers all come in and visit and they say, I only buy from Obsessed Garage because of the way you pack and the way you ship.
Yeah, and customers that don't care about that, they don't have to buy from us, you know? That's kind of the way it works. But I like my stuff to show up not scratched up and, you know.
It should be nice, so we make it nice.
It's functionally excellent. That's the whole tagline.
So items or orders are more accurate now because there's 2 validation steps for picking.
Okay.
Inventory is more accurate now because we can tell where it's picked from. And the next step is to make sure that visibility for the customer is there as well. So that's the next step of things.
That's your writing.
And this box we're looking at is going out to David in Portland, Maine.
Yep.
So David, we just packed your box. Tommy picked it.
Yeah.
Mom packed it.
Matt,
He probably ordered this this afternoon, didn't he?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
either earlier today or
go
yesterday
in the
afternoon.
pile.
And so the step that we eliminated was Trevor was our shipper.
Yeah.
And so every packer would just pack the orders, and then Trevor would slap the label on every box. But we've eliminated that step now.
I like that best.
Yeah. Yeah, more efficient.
Yep.
Eliminated position, then Trevor could go into picking, so now we have more pickers, more packers, or we can get it out quicker. So it's a team of 8, or
Yes.
team of 9, I guess, in the
Yeah, something
warehouse.
like that,
That you know, and so we're doing 25 million or so with 9 people. I think that's pretty reasonable. 10 people if you count the software as another human.
So in previous softwares, it was like, here's what it is, good luck. But
Yeah.
now we're able to cater and make changes to improve the system over time to make us more efficient and faster in getting orders out. And so having a team dedicated to supporting us is huge.
I mean, they're here.
Yeah, they're
That's
here.
why we're shooting. I'm like,
Exactly.
let's shoot a video. Let's
exactly.
explain this process. So that was a real important. Otherwise, we would have been in real trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, to not, because it's complicated. You know,
It's
there's
very
a lot of moving parts, and as you can see, we've just scratched the surface of the capability of where we're headed and what can happen. You know, maybe we build the warehouse next door, and then we implement some of these other things we've been talking about.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like from your point of view, and in seeing us like in person, what would you see be as like the biggest next step we can make to make our operation more, efficient?
Yeah.
Like gut instinct. What do you see? Like, oh, I would help, fix that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we talked about it on Friday, or Saturday's video, excuse me, a little bit of kind of the crawl, walk, run approach. You got inventory accuracy, you've got products in their homes now. We're talking about replenishments as something that is another important aspect, meaning that when a product's out of its home shelf, how do you get product down quicker so your pickers are not having to wait on that inventory in order to release that order? So a next level is replenishments and being able to turn the inventory faster. Then you go through an analysis of your slotting to figure out, are all the products in the appropriate places to where we can pick the product faster? And then to your point, we probably need to look at the cartonization and the ability to have Deposco drive some of those features as your volume increases as some areas to try to automate some of those steps. But there's even a lot of little things like we talked about, compounding change, like small changes. Entering the quantity, those are all automated abilities as well. You can grocery scan product rather than having to scan the product, enter the quantity. So there's like small and iterative changes you can make that are very, time saving on the front end for you guys, and then also helps you to start doing some of the other things that you want to do over time. But yeah, there's automation, there's a lot of things, but next step is tuning what you have, taking away some of those manual steps that are there, letting the system do more, like the waving.
Yep, that's one thing we're working on
Yep,
this week as well.
the replenishments piece, I know another piece of what we're talking about this week, and then get into the screens and figure out how to remove steps that you don't want to be there once you feel like you've got the accuracy of the team and they know where they're going and what to do with the software.
So I hope that you found that somewhat insightful, useful. If you're way ahead of me, you can chuckle a little bit at where you once were. If you're, just starting out as a business owner, and so hopefully we're providing a little bit of inspiration to you. You can kind of see maybe where you're headed. For those of you that are in a similar position to me, I don't think I could highly recommend Deposco more. I mean, I think that the experience has been great. One of my biggest concerns that when I discussed with the team was I didn't want to get left on an island. I didn't want to get left alone. I didn't want to get just left, say, here you go. And they got us all set up and then they walked away. So one of the things I'm most pleased with, there's always bugs in software, and especially when we're customizing it to what we're looking for or looking to accomplish, we have some unique things. There's always a process to go through, and they've been there every step of the way. And I think that that's a really, really important trait that you should be looking for if you're considering, if you're in the distribution business and you're looking to, improve your software, improve your inventory management, improve your incoming, outgoing, return process, all those things. Know that you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have a staff that's committed. You're going to have to build a culture around it. But you will have a team that is dedicated to helping you understand what you purchased. And that, to me, is worth its weight in gold. So I have to give them an A+ thus far. It was really cool for me to get in and see what we actually bought. It was, like I said, it was really difficult for me to stay out of it. I'm sure there was some really dicey times where Tommy was ready to throw in the towel, but that's what you need to expect when you go into making changes in the world. And remember that Software, it's an input-output device. You need to put in what you want to get out. And if you do that and you work with a great company like Deposco, I think you can really change the user experience for your customers. You can make your life better, and your employees' lives better. And I'd highly recommend you go through this process as long as you know what you're getting into. So hopefully this video helps you understand what work went into it and then what improvements have come from it. I'm really pumped for the future. I think this is going to set us up for the next decades to come. Thanks for watching this, and I hope you'll consider buying stuff from Obsessed Garage to keep us moving forward. It's been a wild ride, and I'm glad you've been on it with me. We'll talk soon.